It's all right. No, it's just. It's filming back there. No, it's filming here.
Mr. Perfection.
What's that?
You've already been at
Well, I've already been at the
You've already been cruising the table.
So, and I got it carried, I just got it carried. And, so.
Everybody gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It's not because of Darren. It's not because of Darren.
No, I didn't.
Well, that's why I have 3, and I never take less. Yeah, I don't.
No, don't worry about it.
Temple is going to be built compared to where Gaza is grown up and where Israel is. Can you show us that?
Where the temple is going to
So,
be
so
built?
here's, here's Gaza. Here's Israel. Here's Gaza. Where's the temple now?
Oh, it's in Jerusalem. It's not in Gaza.
It's not at all. Is it in the middle?
I'll show you tonight.
Yeah, that's what.
When I show you the Dome of the Rock,
Yeah.
that's where you'll know it is.
I was thinking, maybe if it got hit, it's got blown to smithereens.
And that opens up the door for a temple. You never know. Okay, let's find our seats. Is this on? Testing.
Testing, 1, 2.
Testing. Can you hear me in the back? Doesn't sound like it's very loud.
That's all that counts. We're going clear.
Testing.
The
Okay.
old way, we used to do that back in the day.
Okay, you guys ready to go underground tonight?
Through the kitchen.
All right, before we start, Miss Joni is gonna come up
Okay.
and bless this mess.
Okay. Our Father in heaven, thank you so much for a great day. Thank you for this time of being together as your church to learn your word. Thank you for Darren and all the hard work that goes into the study. And we just lift you up in all things. Help us to learn what you'd have us learn. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Tonight I'm gonna do it a little different than I had been. There are handouts over there, but you won't use them as usual tonight because I'm really just gonna focus on one thing today rather than the however many things are listed on there. And that is the archaeology of the city of David from the time of David to the time of Hezekiah and the Babylonian captivity. And just the amazing amount of archaeology that there is in this book. And so much of it is literally underground. And so we're going to spend a lot of time underground tonight. And this is going to be multimedia. Multimedia. So if this works, it'll be a miracle. Okay? But I don't even know if I'll make it through it all. But I just got going this week of pulling this and pulling that. I'm like, oh, I gotta show them that, gotta show them that, gotta show them that. So we're gonna look at a lot of different things. So we'll start with when David captures Jerusalem, and then just quickly go through and just show the archaeology for the whole thing. It's just amazing. Okay, so First Chronicles, right? First Chronicles. Overview. The book of First Chronicles records David's ascension to the throne and his actions thereafter, and the book concludes with David's son Solomon becoming king of Israel. So the book of First and Second Chronicles actually takes the time period of First and Second Samuel and First and Second Kings and puts it into First and Second Chronicles. Okay, so First Chronicles is mostly about David and Solomon, and then Second Chronicles is from Solomon on to the exile, to all the other kings. Okay, so I'm going to try to just be your tour guide tonight through making believe we're taking a trip to Israel tonight. Okay, and these are the places I would want to go. Okay, not the places where the tour guides are going to want to take you. Okay, all right, here we go. So this is basically what Jerusalem would have looked like at the time that Abraham came and attempted to sacrifice Isaac. Okay, so this is the Temple Mount here, right here. So this whole thing gets blocked off. This is the city of David up on this ridge here. Now these ridges, these valleys are not there anymore nearly as much as it shows here. They really got filled in over the years with one civilization on top of another, and I mean that literally. There are places where there's 10 civilizations, one on top of another, and I'll show you some of those pictures. Anyway, it got filled in a lot. But anyway, this is basically it. So when David comes, the city is right here, okay? So it looked something like this, the Jebusite Jerusalem, okay? And this is a very important area here. You're going to find out as we go through the night. We keep coming back to this area here. It's very interesting. So this is the water source for Jerusalem, basically. There's a natural spring here that comes up out of the ground, and that's where Hezekiah tapped into and did that tunnel and brought it down here to the Pool of Siloam down in here. But this is a very formidable city that David's coming up to, and it's one of them that they hadn't taken back in the day of Joshua. It's still a Jebusite city, and it's very fortified. So how do you get into this place? They figured out the only way to get in is through the water source here. Okay, so David capturing Jerusalem. It says in 2 Samuel, on the day of the attack, David said to his troops, whoever attacks them should strike by going into the city through the water tunnel. Okay? And in 1 Chronicles says, David said to his troops, whoever is the first to attack the Jebusites will become commander of my armies. And Joab, the son of David's sister, whoever, was the first to attack, and so he became commander of David's armies. Okay? So, let's go right into our multimedia here. And we know pretty much exactly where this is, where Joab would have gone in and up to attack this city. Okay, let's see.
Side Canaanite, 3,800 years ago, and then King Hezekiah moved the water, the Holy Spring of Jerusalem, from here to Hezekiah's tunnel. And I'm a little jealous of them because they're walking in cold water, and it's quite hot today, but I wasn't prepared for it. I took some other videos, and then I found myself here. God is stronger than me. Then I'm walking through the dry tunnel. Why so narrow? Because only one person is supposed to move here if you need to repair something. If not, it's running water. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I have more than...
Okay, you didn't have to understand what he was saying. I just wanted to show you this shaft. This was the water would go through this shaft here. It doesn't anymore now because of Hezekiah's tunnel that he did. But there was this shaft, and this is the way the water went into the city. And this would be how Joab would have gone in to the city. Do one more quick one here. Let's see. This one just kind of gives you a visualization of it.
And David and his men are on their way to Jerusalem in the hopes of conquering the city and making it the future capital of David's kingdom. However, as they're approaching Jerusalem, already from a distance, they can see the massive 7-story tall Canaanite fortress, which is the centerpiece of the defenses of the.
So this is Gihon Springs here. They found this whole foundation has been found. And again, these are the walls going around the city. Huge, hard to get into thing, but this is where they go through right here.
Heavily fortified city. And David already begins to wonder, how is he going to conquer a city that already for centuries no one has been able to conquer? What is the weak point of this city? And he issues instructions to the commander of his forces, Joab, son of Zeruiah, saying to him, whoever wants to conquer the Jebusite stronghold must strike at the water channel. Behind me here in the city of David, the place where Jerusalem began, is the ancient Gihon spring, the source of the life-giving waters of Jerusalem during the times of the Bible. Leading away from the spring is an irrigation channel, going back even before the times of David. David instructs Joab to infiltrate this irrigation channel, which archaeologists have discovered here, and ultimately to conquer the spring, and from the spring to conquer the city. This ambitious plan is carried out by David's forces. They conquer Jerusalem, the city of David, making it the capital of David's kingdom. Because when
All right. So that has been discovered. All right, so they go in here and they come up into the city and probably, somehow manage to open the gates or whatnot. And am I on?
Yep.
Yes, okay. So at that point, it becomes the city of David, known as the city of David. All right. Then David and all of Israel went into Jerusalem, or Jebus as it was called, where the Jebusites, the original inhabitants of the land, were living. The people of Jebus taunted David, saying, "You'll never get in here." But David captured the fortress of Zion, which is now called the city of David. All right? So, it becomes the city of David. All right. So, this is it here. So, this is the Temple Mount. This is the Dome of the Rock, Rhonda, right here. Okay? Rhonda here. Where's Rhonda? There she is. I'll show you more. But anyway, this is the city of David right here. Okay? But it's not the city of David from the time of David. The city of David is under all of this. Okay? And so, unfortunately, you can't make everybody move and dig all this up. But what they have done is they have dug up one part of it. Okay, so right here is a excavation site. So this used to be a parking lot right here. And one day they came in and they did an MRI from the sky looking down and said, okay, let's just clear off, this is a nice flat spot, let's clear off this parking lot and do a, whatever it is, sonics, ultrasound, I don't know what it is, but however they do it, they can actually see down into the ground. And they saw all these walls and everything down there. And so they decided, hey, this would be a good place. So they tore up the parking lot. Parking lot's no longer there. And this is now an excavation site. And they started digging. Okay? And so this is part of the parking lot. First they just started with part of it. Okay? And they started digging down. Look at that. They just started finding civilization on top of civilization on top of civilization here. And so they ended up tearing up all the rest of the parking lot here, also, and now it is a big excavation site. And this is actually the city of David down here. The city that David lived in is down about 50 feet underneath the current city of David. So let's just take a look at that excavation site.
This is the biggest archaeological dig going on right now. It used to be a parking lot, and now it's a dig. And just to get your bearings, if you look straight up, that's Mount of Olives. And there's Alaska Mount. Huge dig going on.
Alright. I'm just showing you very short clips just to
You're ready
whet
to
your
move with life's
appetite.
big changes.
What they found, aside from all the walls, they found pottery down there, which dates it really well. They found this huge cache of golden coins down there. I mean, literally like a treasure, finding a hidden treasure down there. Jewelry, all kinds of interesting stuff that just verifies. It just goes back to this idea, you know, the critics try to make it sound like David never had a city here, you know, and there was, the Jews weren't here in 1000 BC because the Muslims want to claim that land, that they've been there the whole time. And archaeology just destroys that idea, just destroys it. And that's why they can only do these excavations in the places where the Jews have control. Okay? They won't allow them to do excavations anywhere where the Muslims have control of the land. Okay? Because they know exactly what they're going to find. You know? Yeah.
So that seems like it's in very close proximity to the Temple Mound.
This is the Temple Mound right here.
And so would that have been some of the homes of like the church, the priests and things like that? Do we know the proximity, was that where who lived?
Yeah, we don't know who
Okay.
lived there. It's just the city. That's
Okay.
part of the, like I said, this is just one parking lot full.
Right.
This is what's underneath that entire,
Then
that-
second to that, would the Temple Mound has the rubble of it being destroyed
Oh, yeah, we'll
got
get to-
built up also?
yeah, we'll get to
Okay.
that. We will get to that. Yes. All right, so yeah, that's the Temple Mound right there, very close. All right, but here is another picture of a similar site. You can see this is one civilization here. This is another one. This is another one, another one, another one. And it would just get, people would live there and then it would get conquered or whatever and, you know, not used for 100 years and just kind of get buried and people would build on top of what was already there. And then it'd get conquered again. And 100 years later, another people would come along and build on top of what's already there, you know. And so you can see this is modern day Jerusalem up here. Modern day city of David here. Okay, but this is what's under here and what's under all of these houses here. I mean, this just, you know, goes on throughout the entire area. There's, you know, just imagine what they would find if they were able to get under all of these. And the cool thing is they've been doing tunneling and that kind of thing, which is we'll get into more here in a minute. But they are doing some tunneling and it's very fascinating. All right, so this is another fascinating find here. So we're told in 1 Chronicles 15 that David built several buildings for himself in the city of David. He also prepared a place for the ark of God and set up a special tabernacle for it. So he brings the ark into the city of David, that little area there, okay? Now we didn't know where this might be, but this, within the last 10 years or so, has been unburied. This was purposely buried. This was not you know, the wind blowing in dirt and that kind of thing. This was purposely buried for whatever reason, we're not sure why. Maybe to preserve it, we don't know. But anyway, this is now believed to be the tabernacle that David set up right here, and it has about 5 rooms in it where there's an olive press in here. I'll show you a video of it. Okay, but anyway, it may go back to the time, even go back to the time of Melchizedek, because they found some stuff here that is older than David, way older than David. But anyway, he may have taken this and turned it into a special tabernacle for the housing of the Ark of the Testimony. I encourage you to go home and look these things up. Just look up the Tabernacle of David, and you'll see many videos online for this. But so this is an above view here, basically, of what's left of this. Okay, but it's got these weird markings in the floor here that they're still trying to figure out what those were for. But olive press and an altar was here with the drainage there for the blood. And so let's take a look at that.
City of David, many recent discoveries. In fact, right up above the City of David, or right connected to it, is what's called the Givati excavations.
All right, this
It was
is
a
the,
parking lot, and then they came in with ultrasound equipment, and they discovered that there were ruins underneath.
this is the parking lot that I just showed you, so I'm getting ahead of myself.
So they took the top off of the parking lot, designated as an excavation site, and it's the largest and most focused excavation going on in Israel today. There's more energy and resources going into this dig than any other place, and they're finding amazing things. In fact, there have been uncovered here at least 10 layers of different time periods or civilizations ranging from around 1000 BC until around 1000 AD. This has given further evidence to the location of the City of David and the Temple Mount, where the temple was. I should...
Okay, so again, this is the City of David here. The excavations are going on somewhere right in this area here, maybe right there. But anyway, that's the Temple Mount, that's the Dome of the Rock there. This is approximately where we expect the Tribulation Temple to be built. Not sure how that's going to happen. Okay, some people say it could be built here. Some people say no, the mosque's going to go and they're going to build it right there. We don't know for sure how that's going to happen, but anyway. Okay, so this next place we're looking at, the Tabernacle of David that I'm talking about, is right again by this Gihon Springs, just above it, just right up in this area here. And it was just discovered recently. I think that's as far as I needed to go on that. All right, I don't know if I'm in the right place here or not. Let's see. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here tonight, so let me just see what this one's about.
Now a little bit about this Gihon Spring. This is the City of David's largest natural spring, and it provided, and it was the main water source for the City of David. It's the reason why the City of David existed. And you can see how much water flows from it. Now let's talk about an interesting structure here.
Okay, so this is the structure here. So there's these, they're trying to figure out what these were here for. They figure they're obviously man-made. They don't know if that was a table, slats that sat down in there so they could do, have an altar of some kind there, or maybe some kind of thing that you would hang an animal in and skin it. They're still trying to figure that out.
2011, Eli Shukron, a leading archaeologist in Israel, made an unbelievable discovery of a mysterious structure just above the Gihon Spring. This structure was once above ground, but is now underground in a large cavern area. Over time, it was just covered up with stuff, but now it's been discovered, but it's underground. This structure dates to the time of Abraham and Melchizedek, and it is believed to be a temple or worship center. Shukron and other leading archaeologists believe this was the place Abraham met with Melchizedek, king of Salem or Jerusalem, upon returning from a battle in which Abraham rescued Lot and his family, as found in Genesis 14. It is also believed that after King David conquered the city, that he set up a worship center here as well. It's very likely that in this vicinity is where he brought the Ark of the Covenant to and set it up under a tent. This area seems to have been purposefully buried and preserved by King Hezekiah after he ended worship of God in all places except at the temple that Solomon built according to the command of God. So this area has played a key place of worship for many, many years. The first room of this structure contains strange angles and holes on the floor and walls where sacrificial animals would have been tied up. In the second room was a so-called metzavah, a simple, narrow stone placed on a stone base. This was the central place of worship during the time of Melchizedek. In the next room was the altar and a place where animals were prepared for sacrifices. It should be mentioned that only kosher animal bones were found around the Gihon Spring area. So talking about these kosher bones only found here would suggest that this temple or worship area was not used by the Canaanites or pagan people. We can also see the blood drainage channel for the blood of animals killed in sacrifices and tanks where the blood was drained into. In the last room we can see an olive press. Now moving on, we come to a Canaan.
Okay. So look that up. It's called the Tabernacle of David. It's still a mystery as to what, exactly what each of these were used for. But, we're told, I don't even know what I have next. I got it. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here tonight. But, what I got here. Okay, that's, okay. All right, so this is the actual site here, and they've got it all covered up now and all, but it says, David said, take Solomon and my officials down to the Gihon Spring. This thing is literally about 20 feet above the Gihon Spring, right here. Solomon is to ride on my mule, and then Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet are to anoint him king of Israel. Blow the ram's horn, long live King Solomon. So it was probably right here where King Solomon was anointed king of Israel, using probably the olive oil that they mentioned that as an olive oil press there that was specially used in the temple. And again, so it just matches that they anointed him here. It's above the Gihon Springs, and this is the perfect place where it seems like this is exactly where Solomon would have been anointed king of Israel.
So is this on Israeli ground?
Yes.
It is.
Mm-hmm. This is all the city of David. The whole thing I'm showing you is that little peninsula of land today.
So that peninsula of land is up,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, so,
You see that?
okay, so my question, that architectural discovery that they found, where those buildings are stacked,
Mhm.
how do they know that it wasn't the same city, just risen up?
Because it's all amazing how they can date things by the pottery found.
Gotcha.
Okay, so they found different kinds of pottery and they look, I mean, these guys, archaeologists, all they gotta do is look at, oh, that's, the Bronze Age or whatever, they're very good at that. So anyway, yeah, this is the city of David right here. This is the Temple Mount again, and this little area is found right here. Okay, but that just took the place of the fact that there was no temple here at this time. Remember, there's just this. So David wanted the tabernacle to be in the city, the ark to be in the city of David. It tells us. Okay, but then when Solomon built the temple, it says they took the ark out of the city of David and brought it up, and the Temple Mount is up to the Temple Mount. Now, some of you may have heard, have anybody ever heard that, the temple wasn't really built on the Temple Mount? Any of you guys heard any of that? There used to be a theory that the temple was actually built here in the city of David. Well, no archaeologists, some Bible enthusiasts believe that, but and it was a theory for a while, but it's really gone downhill because of the discoveries that are being made. They found this part of this little area with this drainage canal with the blood, and they thought, oh, the temple must have been here. Now they figure, oh, okay, no. This was just the tabernacle where the ark was held until Solomon built the temple and they could bring it out. And it says, now the angel of the Lord commanded Gad and said to David, say to David that David should go up and raise up an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of this dude. Okay, so he's supposed to go up, and this is the threshing floor that was here before any of this was here. Okay? All right, this is fascinating. Again, we're going to stay underground all night. And I can tell we're not going to get through it all. This is Solomon's quarry. This is a quarry that was found years ago where they found out this is where Solomon got the rocks to build the Temple Mound and the temple itself. This is a man-made cavern, okay? Solomon's quarry, also known as Zedekiah's cave, is estimated to be around 5 acres in size, stretching across the length of 5 city blocks beneath the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem's old city. And I don't know how this works, that they're able to actually go down there, but somehow, I don't know if Muslims just have the rights to the surface of the ground, because a lot of these tunnels that they're doing now is going underneath the Muslim quarter. And, it doesn't seem to be an issue, as far as I can tell. I mean, who knows? I don't live there, but anyway, so I'm going to show you a video of just how huge. Now remember, this is all man-made. That hole that you're looking at right there wasn't there. It's only there because they got rocks. They hewed rocks out of here. Okay, so I'll show you one short video of that.
These jackets first, then we're gonna go inside. Danny, let's go.
Let's go. You have to imagine this minute when Barclay and his children, they sneak in, they take out the torches, and they light them up, and boom, boom, they see all of this. Look at this size.
Let me gather myself and take this all in for a second. Now, Danny, this place looks huge. It looks like it goes deep down. How far does it go down?
It's amazing. It's literally a hidden gem.
Yeah.
And it's a very big hidden gem. We actually don't know the full size of it. Only about half of the cave has been uncovered.
Okay.
It's got a lot of evidence of quarrying activity. This was definitely a quarry.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's the biggest man-made cave in all of Israel.
Incredible. It looks like a kind of mysterious place, but the entrance is right on the street. Yeah. Like you said. Well, hey, let's go deep underground, Danny. Who knows what we'll find? Lead the way, my friend.
Let me show you.
Let's do it.
So this is one of the inner halls of this giant complex.
Look at this place, wow, Danny.
And what's most visible are the quarry marks. You can see them all over you.
Now, for the person at home, what is quarrying? For someone saying, what is a quarrying area?
It's chiseling stone.
Literally.
You can see here this big shape of a stone that was pulled out and then taken to some construction site.
You can see it, Danny. It's almost like compartments where they chisel around and took the stone out.
Yes.
And big stones, by the way. Look at this.
Gigantic.
Huge.
Okay? When this was found in the 19th century, look at this size, for instance. That's wow. That's really massive.
And you and I were talking off camera. The labor involved. The poor guys who were down here carving these stones out. Wow.
Sweating the whole day for pita bread, basically.
For a piece of bread back then. To feed their family, this is what they had to do. Talk about hard labor.
Yes, but from which period is it? So the generate?
So, it's interesting, the Bible, I don't know if I'm kind of not sure what I got. I was trying to do too much this week. The Bible talks about them going to the hills and quarrying out rocks, okay? And that they would take them, set them in the quarry area and do the chiseling there so that there was no hammering or chiseling on the Temple Mount. Because they wanted it to be sacred and quiet, you know? So any hammering and everything that was done in the quarry area, you know? And then they would, we always hear about the pyramids and how did they build the pyramids? I'll show you later. There are huge rocks in this Temple Mound wall that are bigger than any rocks in the pyramid. Bigger rocks in the Temple Mound than any human has been able to move without our modern equipment today. How did they move that stuff? We don't know. We don't even know. It's like almost miraculous that they were able to move these rocks, and we're talking about, a mile away from the Temple Mount where they're doing this.
North or in which direction?
This would be, east, west. This would be west of the Temple Mount.
And uphill.
By the Damascus Gate. What's that?
And uphill.
It would, yes, they'd have to take it uphill. Very good point. Yes. So anyway, there's another thing. Look up Solomon's Quarry. It's also called Zedekiah's Cave. But it just keeps going and going and going and going. It's amazing. All right. Again, remember, it started, they started digging in and then they would, drop down another level and make rock bricks there and then drop down another level and cart them out and drop down to what we have today, Remember, none of this was here.
And this is all limestone, is that right?
And that's the cool thing too, is so this is in, it's some kind of a limestone that I'm not sure, but anyway, it quarries pretty easily and it's halfway soft enough to where you can quarry it out. But once it hits daylight and it's out in the atmosphere, it hardens, And so this was like the perfect place where they could get this brick out, and it was fairly easy to quarry, but it's soft, and but as soon as they bring it out into the weather and leave it out there for however long, however months, it hardens.
God at work.
Yeah. God had this all figured out. All right. Okay, temple. So then Solomon summoned the Jerusalem elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes and leaders of the families, and they were to bring the ark of the Lord's covenant to the temple out of its location in the city of David. So again, somewhere right in here the ark is, okay? And they take it out of the city of David and bring it up to the Temple Mount, okay? This is, again, just a verse to show the temple couldn't have been in the city of David. Some of them want to turn David's palace right there into the actual Temple Mount. But this is clear that they took the ark out of the temple, the city of David, and brought it to the Temple Mount. So if you're going to take it out of the city of David, the temple can't be in the city of David. So again, that leads us to the known location of the temple. Solomon then summoned to Jerusalem the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes. Let's see, I guess I just read that one. Yeah, basically. Okay. All right, I have no idea why this picture is here. Okay. So here's the temple, here's the city of David. Then Chronicles continues on with Hezekiah's expansion, and the city becomes this big here. And this is where now we learn about the Pool of Siloam, which is right down here, and an amazing discovery that's been found through here. So we'll talk about that next, okay? First of all, the Pool of Siloam right here. So basically what we have here is this was a huge mikvah, a cleansing pool. And so when you wanted to go up to the temple up here, they had a lot of little mikvahs down here, little like baptismal pools. And if it was just a small crowd, you can do those. But on the feast days, when there's literally sometimes hundreds of thousands of people that are going up to the temple, they had this huge pool down here. And they would cleanse here, and then they would take this road of ascent up to the temple and into the temple, and they were cleansed. So, 2 Kings says, the rest of the events of Hezekiah's reign, including the extent of his power and how he built a pool and dug a tunnel. We read about him digging a tunnel, and I think that was last week. Was it last week? We looked at Hezekiah's tunnel. But he also built a pool, we're told. Okay? That is this pool down here. He blocked up the upper spring in the Gihon, again, the same place that we keep going back to where Joab entered, and brought the water down through the tunnel down through into this pool, and this is where it would end up here. Okay, so this is a recent discovery within the last, I think, 15 years or so. Again, this was all underground. They had no idea that any of this was here. And they had a sewage problem. And the city had to come in and fix a sewage problem. Now again, again, this is all underground. So they had to dig down and try to figure out the sewage. Well, anytime you do digging in Jerusalem, you have to take an archaeologist with you as you do it, because you don't know what you're going to run into. Well, they ran into this. It was clearly steps down into some kind of a pool, and this is where it ends here, right there, and you got a hillside here going up to houses up there and whatnot, and so they've been taking the last 15 years or so digging this out and trying to figure it out. But they couldn't go here because this was owned by, I think, some church or something like that. And it took them years to acquire this land here. Well, now they have it, and they're digging all of this out now. So I'll show you a video of that. So this, where I just showed you, this is where it ended. This was all that grass you saw. Now this has all been dug out now, okay? And this is a huge pool that they've discovered.
So I'm standing here at the Pool of Siloam, which is a very exciting and very active archaeological site right now in Jerusalem. The Pool of Siloam was built by King Hezekiah in about 700 BC. What we're looking at is the beginning of the excavation of the Pool of Siloam in Jesus' time. And it was the largest ritual bath or mikveh in all of Jerusalem.
But frankly, the Pool of Siloam was lost. It was buried in the dirt, lost for centuries and centuries. We didn't know really where it was. There was some little pool at the end of Hezekiah's tunnel, but people were suspicious that that would be the great Pool of Siloam. It was in 2004 that there was a sewer pipe that broke. And in excavating down to fix that sewer pipe, the excavators hit the flagstones that later was known to be the Pool of Siloam. But we still couldn't figure out some of the things about it because the land above it was owned by the Greek Orthodox Church. Finally, just this year, 2023, the Greek Orthodox Church sold that land and excavation began in earnest. The Pool of Siloam of Jesus Christ's time was about a 2-acre pool, and it could hold thousands of people, which makes good sense because with the feasts of Israel, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Pentecost, the Feast of Tabernacles, or as we would know it, the Feast of Booths, for tens of thousands of people would come, and they would want to be ritually cleansed before going up into the temple.
There's a group of psalms called the Psalms of Ascent. And until this discovery, it was believed that the Psalms of Ascent, which are Psalm 120 through 134, really referred to some sort of figurative or spiritual ascent. But with the discovery of the Pool of Siloam and a pathway that we can't really see, but it goes up from the Pool of Siloam all the way up to the temple, the people would walk and they would sing the Psalms of Ascent. So they really are the Psalms of Ascent.
So Psalm 125 through about 135 are called the Psalms of Ascent. And why were they called the Psalms of Ascent? Like she just said, well, it must be, all heaven's up there. Well, it turns out you really had to, this is a climb from this pool to the temple up here. And they would say these psalms from the pool to the temple. And that's why they were called Psalms of Ascent. As you're ascending to the temple, you would be singing these psalms. Okay, so it just keeps getting better. So this pool is here, so obviously there's a road that goes up to the temple. Well, where's that road? Again, it's underground. They've found it. They've now found it, and they're literally making a tunnel from this pool all the way up to the Temple Mount. And it's not, I think like 100 yards of it is opened to the public right now. But look up you can either look up the Pilgrimage Road or the Road of Ascent in Jerusalem. Watch those videos. Absolutely fascinating. All right, let's see. So this is a picture of it here. You can see they've made this tunnel here, but this is an old road that goes all the way from that pool all the way up to the Temple Mount, but it's completely underground, about 50 feet underground. This is the road that Jesus would have walked up from this pool up to the temple. This is in Jesus's day, Hezekiah's day also. But I mean, and they're only doing a small section of it. The road, they figure, was probably about 100 feet wide. They're doing maybe 15 or 20 feet of it, because you can't do the whole thing, But there's shops. There would have been shops on the way, all the way up and down. It was like the boulevard, where you could, let's see, I think I've got a short video of that.
Healing of the blind man in John 9. Now, fascinatingly, from the Pool of Siloam, there was a road called the Pilgrim's Ascent Road. This large step paved street once led from the Pool of Siloam up to the temple. This promenade had shops lining the street on each side. Partway up the street, a podium has been found where prominent people would speak, announcing news or preaching their messages. This street ends at the southwest corner of the current Temple Mount and provides key evidence that the Temple Mount is the location where the Temple of Solomon once stood. Underneath this pilgrim road is a drainage canal that served to bring water and so forth from the Temple Mount area to the lower part of the city of David to the Hinnom Valley, where it could flow out of the city and go down to the lower part of the valley. It was in this drainage channel that around 2,000 Jews hid but were killed by the Romans in 70 AD when Jerusalem was destroyed and burned. There have been found in this canal, or this channel, a Roman sword, Jewish pottery, thousands of Second Temple period coins, a clay seal for verification of the purity of items used for temple offerings, and a golden bell that would have been worn by the priest at the bottom of their robes. So this Pilgrim's Road was once, as we say, a large, wide street that led from the Pool of Siloam, went up to the temple, and it was a massive avenue that the Jews used. They would come to the Pool of Siloam, be purified in the large mikveh, then they would go up to the temple. There have been discovered massive avenue that the Jews used. They would come to the Pool of Siloam, be purified in the large mikveh, then they would go up to the temple.
Okay. So again, this road has been found, and the canal under it that they're talking about too. And under that canal, the reason we know about 2,000 Jews being is Josephus, who was a historian at the time of when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. He talks about this canal where thousands of Jews were hiding. We didn't have any idea what Josephus was talking about. Now we know. We found this canal and lots of evidence that there were actually people. It's more like a sewage channel, you know, but there were clearly people hiding down in there because they found jars with food in it and all kinds of things. So, but anyway, so they take this road of ascent, and when they get up to the Temple Mount here, it would go up there. They could either go through this tunnel here and up to another entryway here into the to the Temple Mount, or they could take this ramp here up here. So I'm going to show you that now.
There have been this.
Okay, did that. Okay, so this is what that entryway would have looked like right here. Go up here and into the temple here. Okay, so this is the Temple Mount here, all right? Now, all that's left of this right here is the top little section there that they know was a arch, okay, and a little bit left down below of what was there. So that's all that's left of that. Now, you may ask yourself, okay, well, if the arch, if they came in right here, where's the door that was there? Because we see doors here, right? Remember, this was destroyed. Okay, this was destroyed, and the Temple Mount, the bottom part of the Temple Mount that we see today, is indeed the Temple Mount that Hezekiah or Solomon would have built, that Jesus would have known about, but it was destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed and rebuilt several times. So if you look, I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but these big stones are original. These are the originals. But as soon as you get up to about here, you notice the stones get smaller there? This is all new. So all of this is new right above the arch. All of this is new. This was all destroyed and then rebuilt, and probably destroyed again and rebuilt again. So anyway, most of the Temple Mount that you see today is original, but the top the top portion has been rebuilt several times.
Aaron,
Yeah.
where would the marketplace be where Jesus turned over the tables and all that stuff?
Probably right in this area, on this street, just before the temple. This is the Temple Mount here. So let me show you. I'll show you the next picture here. This is that street. So the street comes out of, it just, they knew there was something here because here, this road just starts out of, there's a wall right here. And this street just comes out of this wall. So they knew the street's got to go somewhere, you know. So something, all that was here is built up, and that's how they figured out there's got to be, this road has got to continue, and they found it, and then it goes all the way down to the Pool of Siloam. But then it keeps going here, and then all of a sudden, boom, it dead ends again here. Why would it dead end again there? Because in the days of Jesus, this wasn't here. None of this was here. This road kept going, okay? So you can see how much buildup there's been over the years. So these are some of the stones, somebody just asked about this, some of the stones that were thrown off of the Temple Mount by the Romans. And this was full. They moved most of the rocks out of here now, okay? But they left these here just as memorial of the time that the Romans came in and destroyed the temple. But as Jesus was leaving the temple grounds, his disciples pointed out the various temple buildings. But he responded, "Do you see all these buildings? I tell you the truth, they will be completely demolished. Not one stone will be left on top of another." And up on the Temple Mount, there's not one stone left of the temple. These are the stones, the leftover stones from the Temple Mount. And I wish I had time to get into they found inscriptions on here with evidence that this is the temple. These are from the temple up here, okay? So there's no question that the temple was up there.
And those were quarried out of Solomon.
Yeah, yes, yes. But here, you can see some of the shops here. Okay, these shops would have gone the whole way, all the way down the Pool of Siloam. Now, where exactly was the temple overturning tables? That may have been up on the Temple Mount itself, outside of the temple, you know, in the court of the who knows where, I'm not sure where. So that may have actually happened up here, because I don't know that they would have been doing it down here, but they could have, because this is, you know, you were cleansed now as you're coming up this road. It was a one-way, when during these festivals, this was a one-way road, because you had to get there. You didn't want to come into contact with someone dirty coming down to the pool. So it became a one-way road during those times. So again, all of this is gone now. Okay, so this is that road right here, okay, and it just starts right there, okay, and so they started tunneling under here, and that's where that road of ascent is. It stops right there, but it used to keep going. This is the western wall right here, where the Wailing Wall is right here, okay, and so the road would be right here, and it dead ends right here. This is the Wailing Wall right here. Okay. Again, you see the big rocks here, and then the little rocks here. This was all rebuilt later, and all this stuff up here was rebuilt later. Everything up here was rebuilt later. And this floor was not here. Again, remember the road was down here, so it went like this. Underneath all of this, through these arches right here. This is called Wilson's Arch here. Go this way. And this is Wilson's Arch here. That is the same place as right here. This arch is right there. Okay, and this arch used to go all the way down. This used to be a huge arch. Okay? Today, there's just the top part of the arch that's left. This is where they have tunneled now, the whole western wall. Because this is, let's see, this is that big ramp The western wall is right here, okay? You can see what it this road used to go the whole length of the western wall, okay? But today, it stops right here. This is the Wailing Wall right here. But you used to be able to walk that whole way. Well, today, look at this. This is the same arch right here. It stops right there, and this is the Muslim quarter here. They built the entire city on top of the city that used to be there. And you can't even see the wall anymore. You can see the wall here. They built right up to the top of the wall, the city here. But this roadway that's going right through here goes all the way through this, and they've tunneled all the way through that. And they found the whole western wall under there. So let me show you one video of that. Doing better time than I thought. All right.
Right below it. The first stop on our journey within the Western Wall tunnels is the Wilson Arch, which was excavated by Charles Wilson in the mid-19th century. This arch is believed to be a support for a bridge which connected the Temple Mount and the city during the Second Temple period. Here we can see the complete arch, one of 7.
Let me just stop here for a second. So all we see today is the top of this arch right here. And so you can see back in their day, they had this is that street that went all the way through here. Today, the ground level is right there, okay?
As it supports the bridge into the Temple Mount during the time of Jesus. Here below is the street level where today it is part of the exposed Western Wall, which is also called the Wailing Wall. When we visit the Wailing Wall Plaza today, we can see part of the Wilson Arch at the north side of the praying area. Here below the Wilson Arch, we can see part of a mikveh, one of many in this area, where people used to purify themselves before entering the temple. Now, let's continue our tour and get closer to the Western Wall, where we shall walk along the part of the wall which has not been exposed to sun and to forces of the weather for almost 1,000 years. One of the most interesting findings of the Western Wall itself is a huge stone, often called the Western Wall Stone.
All right, so this is, as far as we know, this is the biggest rock that mankind has ever moved, right here, in the history of mankind, okay? Aside from maybe the last 100 years where we have our, whatever. This thing is about the size of a bus, okay? Literally as long as a bus, as high as a bus, and as wide as a bus. 600 tons or so, they figure. And they move this thing. It's unbelievable.
This stone is used as a supportive stone to the construction of the Western Wall, and it is considered to be one of the heaviest objects ever lifted by human being without powered machine. This stone is so big that its weight is about the weight of 3 Boeing 747 aircraft. Can you imagine? Now, let's continue walking to the north along the western...
Now, another thing to notice is, you notice how rough the wall is at the Wailing Wall? Very, very rough, because it's been exposed to weather for millennia, okay? This has been buried for millennia. Look how smooth this is. That's what it used to look like. Just smooth, and with embossed, they chiseled out the edge of each rock to kind of give it a little lip for beauty's sake, And I mean, the amount of chiseling work the Bible tells us how many people were involved in this process. In Chronicles, it's like 80,000 chiselers and 50,000 movers, and it tells us all that.
And reach one of the oldest places for Jewish people. It is the Moines Gate, which is about 150 feet into the tunnel. This gate marks the closest point to the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctuary, and it is currently thought to be located under the Dome of the Rock, so you can imagine the conflict around this point. This is why people, like these women, pray here, since this is the closest place to the Holy of Holies.
Okay, so this spot right here is, as you go tunnel through there, this spot is the place that is the closest to where the Holy of Holies would have been, right here. So this is a very sacred spot now. You can't get close, the Jewish people can't get closer to the Holy of Holies than this, right here, okay? So very sacred spot to them, and this has just been opened up within the last 10, and discovered in the last 10 years or so.
Now let's continue walking along the western wall, heading north. This road used to connect the northern side of Old Jerusalem to the area from which people used to enter Temple Mount, the southern side of the Temple. The excavation of the Western Wall tunnel revealed this ancient road. When we think about it, Jesus has probably walked on this road on his way from the pool of Bethesda, located north to the Temple Mount, where Jesus conducted his miracle of faith, to the southern side of Temple Mount in order to enter the temple. This road is one of the few places in Jerusalem, and of course in the world, that we can be 100% sure that here Jesus actually walked. We have just reached.
So where they're walking now, they're, again, 50 feet on. When Jesus was walking on those stones, he looked up and he saw sky. Okay? Now we walk on them and there's 50 feet of earth above us, you know. And this is interesting too. So this is actual Mount Moriah here. This is the Temple Mount wall here. But where it connected to the actual rock of Mount Moriah, they actually chiseled out the rock of the mountain itself to make it look like bricks. Look at that. Wow. You see that? Just for the beauty's sake, to make it look continual, you know what I mean? That's how much time they put into it. And again, I would have never thought to do that. Okay, this is where the mountain starts and we'll leave the mountain. No, they turned the mountain to make it look like bricks.
The point where the constructed western wall ends, and we can see the original rock of the mountain. But this is not the end of our.
Okay. Anyway, if you want to see more on that, look up the Wilson Arch or the Western Wall Tunnels. Okay, man, I did it. Holy cow. All right. Any questions on any of that?
I have one question.
Yeah.
So where the spring comes into the city,
The spring, yeah, huh?
it shows, or at least looks on the map right there, that it's below the city, but yet the spring flows into the city. I mean, how does that work?
Well, that's why they had to do the tunnel. The Jebusites did a tunnel, and they created a huge pool in there, so that the spring comes up here and would just go down into the valley. What they did is they created a huge pool over here, so that instead of the water going down into the valley, the water would go down into this pool, and that's where people would come and get their water.
So they like dammed it.
Yeah.
They made a dam. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense now.
Yep. Any other questions?
Speaking about the spring, that would have been active during Abraham's time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any mention of that in any of the Bible writings? Or?
Not about, I don't think it mentions the spring, but it talks about Abraham going to Melchizedek, who was king of what? Anyone remember? Salem, which is Jerusalem. Okay, it's the same city. We just expanded the name to Jerusalem. So he was the king of the city and also high priest. And this is that David's tabernacle thing is the only thing that's been found in the city of David in Old Jerusalem that is in any kind of way a temple type site. And they have found stuff in there that indicates it goes all the way back to Abraham's time. Okay, so if he was a high priest, Melchizedek, this may have been his site that he worked in. This is speculation. They don't know that for sure yet, you know. But anyway, it's the first site that's been found that actually may draw us back to Melchizedek.
So Darren, can you kind of just give us a tour of there? So where the Garden of Gethsemane is and.
Well, it
that
depends on.
picture, Can you kind of?
Sure, okay, this is Mount of Olives here.
Uh-huh.
This is the Mount of Olives here.
That
This,
church right there,
where here?
popular one, yeah.
Yeah, there's several churches. Mary Magdalene Church up here somewhere.
And the road that Jesus came in on, isn't that?
But that's where it gets speculative because
okay.
there's some people like the Garden of Gethsemane is more than likely out here.
Uh-huh.
But the Golgotha, there's a hill out here, somewhere out here, that they say this is probably where Jesus was crucified. Well, there's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre over here somewhere, a little further that way. And they used to build churches over, well, Jesus peed here once,
Yeah.
so we're gonna build a church here, And I doubt most of that. But the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is actually, to me, it's convincing that may have been where he was actually. So if that's the case, the Via della Rosa, this would be the Antonio Fortress here, where he would have been in trial. And the Via della Rosa would have gone through the Muslim quarter to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. If Golgotha's out here somewhere, he would have gone this way. So we don't know that for sure, but I lean towards it going this way. So, but the Antonia Fortress was a fortress that Pilate built on the north side of the Temple Mount, because that was its weakest point right here. The walls were very sturdy, and like I say, this is all original. It's just the top, section here that's
So
been
the
rebuilt
footprint.
over the years.
The footprint is still
The
about
footprint
same
is
size.
still the same, right?
Okay.
This platform here was made for the Dome of the Rock.
Okay.
This is not original here. So you look at those arches there, and it looks like, well, that's left over from the temple. No, it's not. They were put up there. All of this was put there for the purpose of the Dome of the Rock. These are all stairways that come up so that you can go visit the Dome of the Rock. Okay. I don't know what else. So these are the ancient steps here that used to go up. You used to be able to go up in the temple there. Now you go up these steps and you hit a wall. But there used to be doorways there.
And did people enter from usually just one direction? When they
No.
were coming to,
No, they could come in this way. They could come in through that Wilson Arch right here. This was a roadway here that you could enter into there. That big, what's called Robinson's Arch right here. They could go in there, they could go in here. The Eastern Gate is over here, which is walled up now.
is that the one beautiful?
That's the one that they walled up. The Muslims walled it up because the Bible tells us that the Jewish Messiah will come in through that gate. And so they walled it up.
But is that called the Gate Beautiful?
I don't know that it's the Gate Beautiful. I'm not sure on that. Okay. So I'm going to skip a song tonight because we're going late, but we'll end it with that if there's anything else, Rhonda.
Yeah, so from this, to the right or to the left, or up above or down below, where is Gaza?
Where's what?
Gaza,
Gaza from here
from here.
would be west,
So
this
it's
way.
to this right side.
all the way to the Mediterranean Sea though. I mean,
Right, right.
long ways away.
Right.
Yeah, and south. Well, south and west from this.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our tour. One of these days, I hope to do it in person. But right now, most of the stuff, well, not most, but a lot of the stuff I showed you tonight, if you were to go to Israel, you can't get into it yet. You know, that tunnel, that is road of ascent, most of that's closed. The Pool of Siloam is under construction. A lot of it's like it's the last days. And the Lord is just opening it up. It's just beautiful. All right, I'll pray. Father, thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for your word, Lord, and just how alive it is. It's so alive. As we read it, we can just walk through Jerusalem and point at things as we read it, and it's just amazing. My desire here, Lord, is to just get us stirred up to want to invest ourselves into your word and invest ourselves, more importantly, into the word of the word, which is Jesus. And so, Lord, draw us. Use this kind of stuff to be the starting point, to draw us into the real thing. Jesus is the real thing. So, but we just ask that you do it, Lord. And thank you for all this amazing stuff that just gets us hungry to want to have the rest of the meal. And Jesus, that's you. And we just thank you for what you did for us. And it's amazing looking at rocks stones that you would have walked on, and a pool that more than likely you would have bathed in. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Stir up a hunger within all of us. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you. With as many videos as I showed tonight, there's a good chance this is going to get booted off YouTube.